are already started, so I thought we better get started here. What we're going to do, we have plenty of materials over there. If you've never done this, or even if you have, where you can get everything you need. Basic supplies, base, wire, gemstones, over there at the table where Dane is. And I do want to recognize I'm helping to guide this along if I can, but we owe credit to the club and Dane over there for hiking around half the county to pick up all these different materials, and a couple volunteers also. To be able to provide enough stuff for you to proceed to make a gem tree, but I will probably remind you along the way, we're going to keep this simple. So, from the beginning, just to point out that wherever you're going to wind up, probably 75% of it's going to become judgment as far as size, anywhere from basic gemstones. My favorite, and that's just me, come from the stuff that we go out and collect in a club. But you can also go into gemstones. I've had some people confront me about making their birthstone. I still remember one lady, Brazilian topaz, please, it's her stone. And I said, okay, that would be interesting to try, but I gotta tell you, I don't have Brazilian topaz and I'm not going to Brazil for you. So anyway, a Brazilian topaz tree, and we'll talk about sizes and how that's affected, to get approximately 40 to 45 little Brazilian topaz, that tree is going to cost you over $100 just to break even. So you've got to use your judgment. My favorite material, and you can make these decisions as you go, you can change your mind, is the Eastonite that we collect along the Delaware. And we have an ample supply of the fragments of Eastonite, which look amazingly like foliage. This is an Eastonite base, which we collect this material along the river down there. Or the other end of the stick, this is malachite from Zaire. This base, and I'm just telling you what you'd experience if you went out and looked for some of this stuff. You could find a base that you like more than anything else in your backyard, perhaps. Or possibly something you got at a show. A lot of judgment involved here. What we want to do is just avoid the couple little pitfalls that will enable you to, without a whole lot of talent, because I make these and I don't consider myself an artist, but anyway, to avoid the pitfalls, I mentioned at the other meeting, you want to wind up with a gem tree and not a Brillo pad of a mangled mess of wire, okay? So, step one, and some of you may have already been there, but we'll start at the beginning. We have these pieces of material over there available to you to use. It could be anything. It could be wood, it could be cardboard, but this is going to be where you start. You select your wire, and by the way, if you're going off on your own after you leave today, right off the bat, it's important the gauge wire you select. This is going to enable you to produce what I would describe as an average sized tree. It's not going to be that big. It's going to be half that size. So to get an average sized tree, you would need an 8 to 9 inch length. Smaller ones I don't have, and they can be very pretty. Here's one that was only 4 inches. Okay, loops. First thing we're going to do is make the loops. How many loops? Now what we're going to do, I'll gauge it to this. A standard size tree, okay? So we're going to loop about 8 inches, you'll want one of these, and we have them available. And you don't need it very long. There's a skinny little one, same thing. That will enable you to make 8-inch loops, approximately. Okay? You with me? Now, to get started then, you want to choose your wire. Now, we have 22 gauge wire, which in my mind, for a standard tree, you want to make a real big tree later on sometime, you'd go to a heavier gauge. Little trees, you can go down, you can go up to 24. The higher the number, the thinner the wire, okay? 22, I think, is the perfect gauge for what we're doing here. Standard size, okay? Color. We have the wire available for you over there. Copper, silver, gold, bronze. Thinking ahead, but there's a lot of variety available. Choose your poison as far as what you like best. Okay? Now, we're going to start the loops. So what you're going to do is have your supply of wire, and you're going to loop this standard size. You're getting about 8-inch loops. How many are you going to do? I would suggest we're going to strike it in the middle. You're going to say, what does this have to do with it? Well, the fewer loops, the fewer branches you're going to get. Okay? The more foliage you're going to get. The more, beyond a certain average point, as a starter, and here it becomes judgment later, the more loops you have, the more work you have, it gets congested in that tree. And you almost have to think as you go along, well, what does a tree look like? That's what you are simulating here. Okay, well, anyway, so some of you have done this already, and the rest, I think, you're probably ready to get started. Okay, how many loops are we going to do? Don't forget your counts, or else you have to start over again. My suggestion is to strike it in between. So let's go with 22.
Wait.
That's going to give you how many end branches? 44. That's a good amount. I don't want you to have a weak, ailing, sick tree as a starter. We might as well do a little more work and get a nice, rich-looking, prosperous-looking tree, okay, in the end.
16.
So, and now, I always thought, in 30 years in high school science, a picture is worth 1,000 words, or present something. This is what your aim is for the first thing, okay? Now this is a little shorter than this thing, but I used a different block, but you know what we're doing there. And okay, you're going to get the loops, and then you have your loops, and just be careful to slide it off that thing without having a little explosion of wire. Otherwise, you'd have to start over again. Okay, so you're going to get a loop, and then you're going to twist it. You're creating the trunk. And a loop at the bottom, and that's not for now. That's going to be your tree base. We'll play with that later. First thing you want to do is get your loops, twist it until you have what you like there for about 1 inch or more. Okay, however, caution number 1. Whenever you're twisting, and we're going to do a lot of twisting to produce this tree, always go the same way, clockwise. Take my word for it, because if you do a couple clockwise and you forget what you're doing and you go the opposite way, you're going to get a drill pad.
Tom, can I mention something real quick?
Certainly, please.
The easiest way to twist the wire is if you all have a pliers or a wire cutter, and if not, you have plenty up here. You can just use the handle and twist it, hold it with your left hand. Twist it with the handle. Sorry.
Yeah, the need on those pliers. We have them available for use over there. Thank you, Dane. So anyway, you got the loops, and then you're going to try your first twisting. All right? The easiest way is to take the bottom and take that eye, so to speak, and go clockwise and stay clockwise. If we have any southpaws here, lefties, okay, then you gotta go the opposite, okay? Clockwise all the time, right now, and when we're down the line at the smaller stuff. Always twist clockwise, and I hold with your left hand, twist with your right, clockwise. Unless you're a lefty, then make the adjustment. Okay, so you're gonna wind up with something like this. All right? There's your twisting. How much twisting? Nice and tight. Make it look sort of like a tree trunk. All right? Not too loose, not too bulgy, not too tight. That's good. And how long is that going to be? Now we're working towards about a 4.5-inch tree eventually. I would say you want that twisted portion, which is going to be your tree trunk, that should be maybe 1.5 inches. Don't go too far up or you'll wind up with a strange looking tree that's all trunk and no crown. Okay? Everybody with us? Or maybe you're ahead of us, I don't know. Depending on what you did this before. As far as the selection of your stone and your base, don't worry about it yet, because the major thing that you have to concentrate on is the wire, tree, and a wrapping. Okay? So, are we all right to the loop? The next thing you want to do, at the top of this loop, you don't want to cut the bottom. That can come much later, and it's a lot easier to handle this thing if it's not cut on the bottom. At the very top, you want to cut these, all of them. Okay, a couple at a time, depending on what kind of tool you have. Probably the needle nose. Do they have a blade at the back? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll tell you what, those small needle nose pliers over there are probably the only tool you really need for this. They're great.
Everybody has one?
So, are you with me? I'll wait a little bit. Look at it. Say, well, I want a little larger trunk. Now, the trunk as you start is probably going to be perfectly straight. You want a tree with a straight trunk? Fine. Later, you can manhandle that trunk whichever way you want to make a nice curve. That's later. That's the detail. How we doing? I'm going to wait a little bit while you cut the tops, because that takes a little while. I don't know. I would not try to cut the whole clump at once. Separate them. And if you're done with that, you want something like that cut. Okay? They're cut. Now, before you go and wind up, you're going to keep going down the line by twos. You want to twist these two for about another inch, okay? You wind up like this. See what I mean? There's your trunk, and you twisted those two halves. How much? And I would use the plier if you feel more comfortable doing it by hand. That's up to you. So, we're at step 2, or close to it. Okay, that's it. You got the idea there.
Does everybody
Next step. Oh, okay, you're good then. So, you're going clockwise. Don't forget that. That'll blow the whole deal if you forget that. Okay, right there. Oh, no, wait. Now, here's okay. I would just go with this. And later, you could twist that whichever way you like. But, now, you're pretty far up there. I would take a little off of this, but that's me. But anyway, you're going to twist this. You're going to twist this. To about there, so you get something that looks like
I'll
this.
help you untangle.
Okay?
You have much better wire than I did. I put way too heavy of a wire. 20 gauge. The higher the wire, the smaller.
All right. Now you are probably somewhere between cutting that first set off at the top to start to twist into two major branches, or maybe you're ready to go to the next thing where you should have two branches and then you want to split them, just separate them so that they're even, okay? Numbers-wise. Numbers-wise. And that's what you're going to do right down the line. You're going to keep doing that. All right? Now, most of you probably have the two major portions twisted. Now, if you're a little confused on this, we'll come around and show you exactly what to do there. And once I get through these things, we'll come around and help you in whatever phase you're at.
Yeah, please don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Just not all at once.
Take a number.
This?
You made 4 instead of 2.
Yeah. See,
Yes.
first, you 12 over 6. Instead of going backwards, you can twist these, and then this here.
I just did I undid the clips around the thing it just expanded and went to
I thought
Right up
it's
the
like
line.
this line separate these,
What do you got?
keep separating.
I'm just gonna add more
Now it's
frustration.
9 and 9. 4 and 8.
You know what I mean? Right down the
What
line.
not to do with the temperature.
Yeah, that was talking about the room.
Now first, yeah, okay, you got it. You can go up
It's
further
not even like
if you want.
I put the two plastic pieces and it just went
Yeah.
crazy.
What you're doing after your first twist on the branches, you completed the twist, then you count the number of stems, and you're going to divide them in half again, and twist each half.
See, this was,
We'll be glad to come around and show you what that step involves and what you wind up with, if you like,
so you need to,
now or later.
how many feet do you have?
Separation, it
What's
doesn't
that?
matter.
How many feet do you do?
The trunk might, yeah, is higher than you want, but
2, 3,
you can live with that for now.
6, 7.
Yeah, I would only make them about an inch or so. Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'll backtrack and then show you. Okay, you're here, now you're gonna twist this and this, and then you're gonna
This.
split that in half. and twist it up. Okay?
Twist each of those groups,
Anybody else stuck or confused?
or even in thirds if you want.
Everybody's quiet, I guess that's a good thing.
I don't know what to do yet.
Yeah, and then you divided these in half, right? Now you're ready to twist that, and you'll wind up with something like that. And then you just continue to always split your loose ends in half and keep going. Don't be embarrassed if you need help. This is one of those things after you do it a couple times. And you're going to wind up with something like this eventually as you keep splitting them in half, or separating them in half, I should say. And you separate them in half, twist it, then go to the next set up the line, and you'll wind up with something like this.
And you keep twisting.
Oh, I just see our very hardworking, not always visible, but
Shots
back owner
fired.
of this club right now, our president, Pete.
Hi, Pete.
Let's welcome Pete. He helps us get these things set up. Believe me. How we doing? It's so quiet in here all of a sudden. I get tired of listening to myself. Hello. What's up? Ah. Yeah, no, you're doing good so far. Now, you want to twist this.
Probably.
Okay? Twist this. I'm just starting it for you.
Non-factual, but
And then you separate these in half.
Don't get over it, whatever.
And twist that. Okay? Make sense? Yeah. You got a nice base started there. She has about maybe a 2-inch base, and she's already got creative and made it like most elderly trees with a nice, curvature in it. There you go, looking good there. And this is where you're going. You're going to start to get close to this. As you get up the line, you're going to say, hey, this is starting to look like a tree. Okay? How we doing here? Quiet corner. You see where you're going? Yeah. Now, very nice because you see what I got on the bottom there? Now you split yours and you got artsy about it. It's a very nice base. The only thing is now, while you're working on the top, you're going to have some holes in it. You know what I mean? But that's really nice looking.
Thank you.
Some people ignore the base, which is the last thing you do, is cut this and shape the base. But that can really add to the natural appearance. Yeah. How you doing? Oh, good. Coming along good. Now, you're up to here. You're always like here if you have 4. Twist, twist. You know what I mean? You're ready to twist there.
do we want 1 wire or 2 wires to support it? 1 wire or 2 wires?
One. Each one will. Yeah, you're on your way. For each stone. Oh, okay, that part. By the time you get to the end of the line up here, your last single wire should only be about 1 inch, give or take. It's going to be harder to work with if they're a ½ inch or less, because you got to put a little loop on there. That's the last phase. Okay? Now, we're going to turn you loose wherever you're at, and we'll be around to help you if you can, whenever. Take your time. Get creative. Dane has all kind of equipment over there. You're not ready for stones yet. That's going to take a while. But when you get there, stones and bases are available over there with Dane. What I have over here is just a token sample for you to look at of different tree selections as far as gemstones and bases. Okay? And I got these progressions for you to look at. It's much better to take your time and be careful rather than rush and say, geez, I want to get to here or there.
You're trying to twist every pair, right? That's not what you're supposed to be doing. Twist the whole thing.
If you do get to the point where you're at your last wire and there's no more twisting to be done, let me know and I'll show you the next step, which is more or less time consuming than anything else. I would suggest once you get to a point where, and you're all progressing pretty well, to come up and take a look at this sequence before you go beyond the end of your twisting, when you're down to 1 wire. Because then you have to start doing your loops to hold the gemstone. That takes time. I would encourage you to come over to the display table as you're progressing and look at those phases. You don't have to be exact, but it will help you. Where am I and where am I going? By looking at some of the examples.
Hey, Captain.
How are we doing?
I feel like
That is looking good.
Can you just show me how exactly I'm going to do
The loops, okay? This thing and these don't have to be. These are mainly just older songs.
It's okay to be odd, you don't have to be.
Oh, I didn't, I'm not even.
Now you're going to see as you progress pretty well along the line, you still wind up with a little variation in the size of your tree. Your decision when you get to the point of choosing your base is your judgment in relation to your tree. Some have longer trunks, some shorter, whatever. Good base. You get what? You could do, okay, you got long ends, but that's okay. Check the seat. You could start spreading them out and get a little better look at it, you know what I mean? What you're creating here and where you want to go. Now with the long ends here, it wouldn't hurt if you decide, you see what I'm doing on some of these? Curling them up a little bit, you can undo that. Anyway, yeah, you'll probably wind up cutting the ends of these off a little bit, but don't do that too soon.
Can you put it, like, do you think I should make a bigger tree, like put two together?
You could do a little more twisting.
From two different branches, like these two?
Yeah, you could do
Like
that.
that? You mean like that?
You could,
But how do,
but I would ask, does a tree grow that way? Generally not. You know what I mean? These I would do a little more twisting on because you have excess to work with up here.
so how do I
And then,
retwist it down here or just make these?
no, just continue it. Just the more twisting you do, the less you get up on the top. And see, that's all judgment stuff too. Yeah, but you're gonna have the, a lot of people, oh, okay.
See, I want a small.
Wherever here, wherever you got more than one, you want to twist. Now here you're going to twist like this, any of those two.
Okay, yeah. And that's, will be enough to wrap your stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. You only need about 1/4 of an inch to make a loop. I mean, if they're a little bigger or a little tighter, the only function of those loops, and you don't even want to see them glaringly, is to hold the stone.
Yeah.
That's the only function they have. So that's well, okay, like here, see, you could twist that. You see where I'm at? You can twist that. Wherever you have two, you want to twist. If you have 3 here, twist the 2. Looks good. Yeah, you twisted to 2 here. Probably just didn't see that one.
I think that was the first one I did.
Yeah, like here 2 is 3. You can twist the 2. Here, there's a couple like that. That's going to give you more foliage. And hey, it's getting suspiciously quiet in here all of a sudden. I think a lot of you are getting ready for the gemstone applications with the glue. Yes? If not, take your time. We'll be around to help you if you need. But if you selected your choice of stone, and that's personal, size it up with your base or what kind of base you are anticipating to use. But anyway, getting ready to glue these things on. I don't have a lot of patience. I hope you got more than I do because it can get frustrating. Don't think you're unique or incapable. If you're gonna play with that gemstone, even a good glue, and find this thing just doesn't want to cooperate and it's tumbling around that little loop you made, stay with it. You might have to come back to it. Once in a while, you get one on it. Ah, good, I got that one. And in 5 minutes, you see the thing drooping. You gotta play with them sometime. But if you have good loops, that makes it easier, okay? The glue you're using, I think Dana's mentioned, most of the time I lean towards that E6000. Works very good. There are a couple other good ones. Experiment. Just don't try to use, that quick, crazy glue stuff will not work. Okay? But if you have any particular problems, if you're starting the gluing, and you're going to have to wait a little bit until that sets up. Usually about 10 minutes. But you can go as far as you can, maybe do 2 or 3 at a time, whatever, depending on how it goes and how well your loops are cooperating. Does anybody have any questions on the glue phase, the selection of the stones? I found, and this is just my choice, one of my favorite ones, and they're not tumbled, are the Easton chunks. Available to anybody over there, plenty of them. A nice colored green, natural looking, that we get from minerals we collect. And they're compatible with a lot of different trees. But you choose your own. Okay? Any questions on the glue?
Is it easier to apply the glue to the stone or to the wire source?
It's best if you put a little, good question there, a little bubble in your loop and then take the stone to the tree. Don't put the glue on the stone first or you'll wind up having glued fingers. Only. Not that that's the worst thing in the world, but you get there. Give us a yell if you need help in any phase. You're doing well.
Go for a side call. Treating's a friend.
You might want to put some just a simple branches on the bottom or get a little fancy by twisting on the bottom.
Questions.
Right?
Lapis bottom, looking like French or young cross. Lapis on top, like that.
Now. Great job.
You know, on the
Imagine this a tree in your yard.
and it has,
See how you want it to look.
he said, but it's 6,000.
Now, when you're ready for the base, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna put the, the other bottle.
Well, all right. What we're going to do is turn it over there. Nip it through. You might have to separate and do that. And then
Make the loop first.
what I usually do is separate into clusters, twist or trees,
The stone.
see how they look. To make that little accent. Just like, you see, like here.
I think you make the
Yes.
All right, so what we found is that this glue is working better.
Oh, that's what, yeah, Dane said as much.
This dries faster.
Yep.
So what we've been doing is we've been putting a little bit of glue on the loop that we made.
Uh-huh.
They do indeed.
And then Cindy is very meticulous in picking out her stone.
Nice.
So we will put a little bit there, and then you've got to kind of let it blow on it a little bit, let it dry up a little bit. But it seems to set pretty quick.
Yes. Wait a minute, let me get my finger out of the way.
Yeah.
And then a hope and a prayer that it stays.
Help it?
Huh, see?
You weren't hoping to find it.
I was hoping, yeah, really. That's the problem with some of the rough stones. I'm noticing that they don't stay on that well.
Mr. Emmert's rocking out over here. I can see that.
The tree was the easy part.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah.
Should be pretty
Well,
good.
on the other hand, too, this is my 10th tree.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, well, you're an old hand at this.
Yes. But this is the first time I've glued the stones on.
Oh, would you wrap them otherwise? What'd you normally do? Wrap them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first 5 were just bare trees,
Okay.
and then the next 4 were the beads from Michael's.
Oh, all right. Very good. I got you then.
But right now we've got a lot of chips like this that we got when we bought some tumblers.
Oh, I heard about that from Alexander.
Yep.
He also showed me that beautiful piece of amber he got out of there.
Yeah, he worked real hard on that.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Oh, not.
Dan, you might have the nicest looking tree without stuff on it yet. It's very tree-like.
Thanks.
I said this one I'm making is going to look like the tree in my yard that I hate.
I'm not sure that's the starting point you want, but it's the starting point you got.
Do you sort of lay them all flat so that they will stay until the glue sets?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding too. Because it,
You're having excellent success, so I'd call that a win. You got the good one. Good. I'm glad somebody grabbed this one. It's got a nice point on it, isn't it?
It was gorgeous.
It came out of the ground last summer.
Oh, really? It has a funky smell.
My brother.
Oh, lucky devil.
I know you know Dane. I heard the name of Dane. What do you recommend?
No, I mean it's the same.
Dan, what's your advanced methodology with the... Oh, I see.
Look, it's just pouring out. Oh no, it was, yeah.
If I can, I don't know if it's gonna work, I'm gonna try. Hopefully it'll hold.
Keep you for the time being. Very cool.
Then you can use the thing.
Sorry.
Could you go to the top left of the first page and grab me, top left of the first page and grab me one of those?
Yeah.
Someone went with the advanced trunk. I like that.
Oh. I'm trying to make him a vine.
It's very cool.
Weird situation. It's not going well. It wasn't like
Everything is good. How is everyone getting their rockets down? Mine just keep falling right off.
I'm sitting mine flat.
So am I, and look.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the support, even if you didn't. Yours was like a snake crawling out from under the rock the way you've got it.
Yeah, that's
That was what you were going for, right?
well, that's just to hold it.
I know what you were doing. I know what you were doing.
You should do it that way.
I had to explain to the audience.
Oh, yes, my bad. That's a good looking tree, Ron.
Thank you very much.
And here we have our overachiever. This tree needed a friend.
Well, the friends is what I can work on in the meantime while we wait for the glue to dry.
You're multitasking. That's great. Excellent use of your time. I think the silver ones are my favorite so far.
It's probably more like me, how I can't tolerate it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Looking good, Fountain.
And we're gonna stand here.
And hold it for 20 minutes?
Yeah, nobody move.
No space.
Exactly what I responded. Because we wouldn't know.
Unlike mine, mine is like the opposite. It's like,
Hey, Tom, general question. Do you recommend?
The other one's down there. Okay. Those are the Lehigh Heartbreakers. The one Alexander's got, your base is from Schuylkill County. So you know.
Nice little brownish agate.
Missy Lee Geist passed me that one years ago. It's been sitting on my rock pile for years. You're done there.
Yeah, she's drying at the moment. It's wonky, but it's okay.
Most trees are. The more interesting trees are the most messed up looking ones.
That would be me.
Right. You should see the one I started. Looks like somebody pulled it out of the front of a car wiring harness.
And really, you can just a plain rock because your emphasis
Just left to wait for the glue to dry. Like, do a couple, wait for it to dry. Do a couple more, wait for it to dry more.
I like your color combination. You match your some of your top to the base, and
She did really well.
very well done.
Main trunk and then well, I would just design your
Hello.
Oh, don't worry, everybody's getting a little bit.
sit on there.
Keep them
And if
steady.
you like it, just do it lightly. Right? Great job. Good. Aside from that, looks like everybody did a great job. A lot of variety, good color. I hope you're all satisfied.
it was great.